Imagine being able to navigate any conversation, resolve conflicts effortlessly, and influence outcomes in your favor, all without manipulation. Negotiation isn't just for FBI hostage situations, it's for anyone who wants to master the art of communication in daily life. In Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss, a former FBI hostage negotiator, shares transformative strategies that help us turn conversations into pathways to success. Chapter 1. Negotiation is everywhere. Negotiation isn't reserved for boardrooms or standoffs, it's a life skill. Whether it's getting a better deal on your car, resolving a dispute, or convincing your child to eat vegetables, every interaction is an opportunity to negotiate. Voss breaks down the biggest myth that negotiation is about compromise. Compromise often leads to mediocre results. Instead, negotiation is about creating a win-win situation where the other party feels heard and valued. Chapter 2. Tactical Empathy. Understanding before persuading. Empathy isn't weakness, it's the ultimate strength. Voss introduces the concept of tactical empathy, which involves stepping into the other person's shoes to truly understand their perspective. Tactical empathy enables you to uncover the emotional drivers behind someone's actions. Voss teaches the power of reflective listening, repeating what the other person has said to show you understand and care. Actionable steps. 1. Use mirroring. Repeat the last 2-3 words of what they've said to keep them talking. 2. Validate their emotions with phrases like, "it seems like," or "it sounds like." 3. Pause. 3. Silence makes people uncomfortable and leads them to reveal more information. Chapter 3. Labeling emotions. Name it to tame. Voss emphasizes the psychological power of labeling emotions. By acknowledging someone's feelings, you neutralize their emotional barriers. For instance, if someone is angry, saying, "it seems like you're frustrated," disarms them. This technique is backed by neuroscience. Naming emotions reduces their intensity. Chapter 4. The Power of No. Contrary to popular belief, no is not the end, it's the beginning. Voss redefines the meaning of no in negotiation. It's an invitation to clarify needs. Instead of fearing rejection, embrace it as a sign of honesty. When someone says no, respond with curiosity. 1. What about this doesn't work for you? 2. What would you need to make this work? By respecting boundaries, you build trust and create space for authentic dialogue. Chapter 5. The Magic of How and What. Questions avoid direct confrontation by asking open-ended questions. Instead of saying, "you're wrong," ask, "how did you arrive at that conclusion?" These calibrated questions shift the focus from conflict to collaboration. They also encourage the other party to problem-solve with you. Examples. 1. What challenges do you see in this plan? 2. How can we work together to achieve this goal? Chapter 6. The 7-38-55 Rule. Mastering tone of voice. Communication is only 7% words. The rest is tone and body language. Voss explains how using the right tone, calm, confident, and reassuring, can diffuse tension. Tips for effective tone. 1. Use a late-night FM DJ voice, calm and steady. 2. Practice downward inflections to sound more authoritative. 3. Pause after important points to emphasize them. Chapter 7. The Illusion of Control. People resist being controlled, but love feeling in control. Voss teaches the art of giving others the illusion of control by letting them take the lead in conversations. Use phrases like, 1. What do you think is fair? 2. How would you approach this? This technique makes people feel valued, even as you steer the conversation in your favor. Chapter 8. Creating the "that's right" moment. The goal of negotiation is to hear the other person say, "that's right." This phrase signals agreement and understanding. To achieve this, summarize their perspective so accurately that they feel completely understood. For example, when someone feels seen and heard, they're more likely to collaborate. Chapter 9. Bargaining without splitting the difference. Voss warns against splitting the difference. It often leads to subpar results. Instead, aim for creative solutions that satisfy both parties' core needs. Use anchoring to frame the negotiation. For example, start with a higher offer than you expect to get, as it sets the tone for discussions. Chapter 10. Negotiation in Everyday Life. Voss provides examples of how these techniques can be applied to real-life situations. 1. Getting a raise at work. 2. Negotiating better deals on purchases. 3. Resolving conflicts in relationships. Every person you meet, every opportunity you encounter, is a negotiation waiting to happen. Negotiation isn't confined to boardrooms or hostage crises. It's an everyday skill. Whether you're asking for a promotion, settling a dispute, or convincing a friend to join you for a movie, you're engaging in negotiation. Chris Voss's career as an FBI negotiator wasn't just about saving hostages. It was about uncovering the essence of human connection. Negotiation is a dance, a series of steps where words and emotions move together to create outcomes that can transform lives. Here's the key takeaway. Success doesn't belong to those who demand. It belongs to those who understand. Negotiation as a life philosophy. Negotiation is more than a technique. It's a mindset. It's about walking into any situation and seeing possibilities instead of barriers. Voss teaches us to reframe negotiations not as battles to win or lose, but as partnerships to create mutual value. Think about the last time you compromised. Did it leave you satisfied, or did it feel like you settled for less? Voss challenges us to aim higher, not to bully our way to success, but to use empathy and strategy to achieve extraordinary outcomes. The magic of mirroring, building instant rapport. One of the simplest yet most powerful tools Voss teaches is mirroring, repeating the last few words of what someone has said. Why does this work? Because humans crave validation. Mirroring shows you're listening without explicitly saying so. Example in action. Let's say someone says, "I'm really overwhelmed with all these projects." You respond, "Overwhelmed with all these projects?" This subtle repetition invites them to open up further, giving you more insight and building trust, breaking the myth of compromise. We are often taught that compromise is noble, that meeting halfway is the hallmark of fairness. But Voss disagrees. Compromise often means neither party gets what they truly want. Instead, he advocates for collaboration, where both sides achieve their goals without settling. Imagine you're negotiating a salary. The employer offers $50,000, you want $60,000. Compromise might land you at $55,000. But what if you could use tactical empathy and calibrated questions to uncover that the employer has room for $65,000 if the role delivers specific results? The power of silence. Letting the other side speak. Silence is a weapon. It's uncomfortable, but that's precisely its power. When you remain silent after asking a question, you create a vacuum the other person feels compelled to fill. Real-life example. In a high-stakes corporate deal, Voss asked the opposing side, "What's stopping you from agreeing to this proposal?" Then he paused. The silence stretched on, and finally they began to reveal their hidden concerns. That information became the key to closing the deal. Negotiating with yourself. Winning your inner battles. Negotiation isn't always external. Sometimes, the most critical negotiations are the ones you have with yourself. How often do you sell yourself short? How many times have you convinced yourself to settle for mediocrity? Voss's principles can be applied inwardly. 1. Label your fears. 1. It seems like I'm afraid of failure. 2. Ask calibrated questions. 2. What would it take for me to feel confident? 3. Silence your inner critic by reframing negative thoughts. Emotional triggers. Identifying and diffusing conflict. Every negotiation involves emotions, both yours and theirs. Ignoring this truth is a recipe for failure. Voss teaches that emotions aren't obstacles, they're opportunities. By addressing emotions head-on, you diffuse tension and create an atmosphere of trust. Practical tip: when tempers flare, don't react. Instead, label the emotion. It seems like this situation is frustrating for you. This simple acknowledgement can transform hostility into openness. Why persistence beats perfection. Negotiation isn't about having all the right answers. It's about persistence. Voss shares that even the most skilled negotiators face resistance. What sets them apart is their refusal to give up. The next time you hear no, remember it's not final. It's an invitation to ask the right questions, reframe the conversation, and try again. The compound effect of small wins. Great negotiators don't aim for monumental victories in one swoop. Instead, they focus on small, consistent wins that build momentum. Imagine negotiating a project deadline. Instead of demanding an extension, start with smaller requests. What's the earliest phase we can review together? These incremental agreements pave the way for larger concessions, turning rejection into opportunity. Rejection is inevitable, but how you respond determines your growth. When someone says no, don't shut down. Instead, use it as a springboard for understanding their perspective. Voss recounts a time when a CEO rejected his pitch outright. Instead of walking away, he asked, "What about this proposal doesn't work for you?" That single question turned a flat-out rejection into a multi-million-dollar deal. The ripple effect of negotiation mastery. When you master negotiation, you don't just transform your conversations, you transform your life. You become more confident, empathetic, and solution-focused. These skills ripple outwards, influencing your relationships, career, and personal growth.